Deli ham it is. It takes some time, but we're going to do it. You need a scale, water, your spices, curing salt, and kosher salt. You can play around with spices once you get a hang of it, but these are ones I like so far. And you'll need a pork loin. I'll be using my meat grinder, my hand press, and my food processor. You don't have to have a meat grinder. You can buy ground pork if you like. I'm using the pork loin. It has a good balance of fat. I cut it up into 3 sections. The first one goes in the food processor. The other one goes in the meat grinder. The other one I chop into cubes. I put my allspice in the food processor with the pork loin that I'm going to make into a paste. I forgot you also need an egg white. You can use any binder. Sometimes I use baking powder. You can also use milk proteins, but you want it to be really sticky by the time it's done. And you don't want it to get hot, so you have to keep it cool. Then I have a coarse grind on my pork in the meat grinder. Then we just put them all in a bowl and add our spices first. And then I would go ahead and add my salt. The curing salt I add to the water we have there, and I dissolve that first. Now it's time to dig in with our hands because you know how I do. As I'm working it in, I'm going to slowly start to add the water, but you want to make sure all the chunks are broken up and incorporated so you have like a smooth, kind of chunky, but smooth paste by the end of it. So you'll see it's really sticky, but everything's well blended. So I'm going to add it to my hand press. First, I'm going to spray it so it doesn't stick. And then I'm just going to add a little bit at a time. As you can see, it's really, really sticky. And that's what you want for it to form into a solid piece. And I use my meat grinder thingy-majig to push it down. And then we add the top. The meat press has a spring that keeps the meat compacted, so we're going to leave that in the fridge for 24 hours before we cook it. I did have some left over, so I'm also going to let this cure for 24 hours, and then when the first batch is done, I'll cook this one. Part 2 tomorrow. So it's been at least 24 hours. Time to take the meat out the fridge and put the hand press in some water. So I started the water, and once it got boiling, then I put in the hand press. Now you want to make sure the water in the pot does not come up too far because you don't want it to leak inside. Ask me how I know. Once the water is boiling, I like to turn it down. You don't need a rolling boil, but you do need to bring the temperature up. I do add a lid, and once the thermometer reaches 180 degrees, I pull it out. I put it in ice cold water. It didn't have the ice in it yet, but ice cold water, and you let it cool down, and then you stick it in the fridge for 2 hours or until the temperature drops to about 50 degrees. Go ahead and take the top off, take the spring out, and then most of the time it should just slide out, especially if you use a bag or you oil it. If not, you just heat the sides up for a few seconds and then slide it out. Look how that came out. Now it's nice and solid, one big piece. You can see it's really firm and put together. So now I'm going to put it on the meat slicer and get some slices. This is like the sandwich slice. So I did a few of those, and then I put it back on to get me some shaved. So we have both sandwich sliced and shaved. And let me tell you, this ham was so freaking good. I have to go make the other little bit I have left because this is not going to last at all. 3 pounds of ham for about $6. I made these bagel rolls last night. Sandwich time.